All right, we are live. Welcome to the Atlanta Landlord Luncheon. We meet on the third Monday of the month, which we didn't realize there would be so much happening in January on the third Monday. We got inauguration going on today. We got a national championship game going on today. We have Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So if you're tuning in now or later, we're happy to have you here. So our goal is to bring you monthly education, market updates, networking opportunities to help buy and hold investors in the Metro Atlanta area build long-term wealth. So you can follow us at the Atlanta Landlord Luncheon on our Facebook page, on our LinkedIn page, and also on YouTube. So we'd love for you to like and follow us on those channels if that's where you are. Our upcoming speakers for January right now. Today we're having Randall Henderson speak for Rentvine. He's going to be talking about innovation and technology. In February, Monica Gilroy, who's the managing partner of the Gilroy firm, she specializes in real estate. She's a NARPA member. She's going to be bringing us a legislative update for landlords and all of the recent legislation that is affecting real estate investors today. So my name is Matt Martin. I'm the business development manager here at PMI Georgia. This is Chris Littleton.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Littleton. I'm the associate broker and owner of PMI Georgia. And this month's all about change. And I tell you, over the years, I've been in business, been in brokerage for 23 years, been a full-time real estate investor for 25 years. And our company really embraces change. And I've seen a lot of it over the years, because I remember like 20 years ago, I set up my first website, and I had one investor call me, and he says, "Hey," he's talking to his partner. We were doing a conference call. He says, "Hey, this guy is for real. He has his own website." So I was like, "Yes, I do. I had just set up my own website." So that was big change. And over the years, we've had so many things that have enhanced our services to our owners and to our tenants. And we really are embracing change at PMI Georgia. I got a great team. They do wonderful things to help serve both our client owners and our customer tenants. And so there's so much things that you can do nowadays with all the changes. I remember that, when we used to get mostly checks. Nowadays, it's we have like 6 different ways our tenants can pay us their rent, and the communications has gotten so much better. So you really have to embrace change. I would have to say one of the things in life when you get to be my age, and sometimes really any age, is change can be hard. But change in the right direction is great. It's wonderful. And what we used to see that would take like 10 years for change, now we're seeing changes happening within a year. What used to take a year, you can do in a month. So, change is rapid. And so embrace change. It's all good.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm going to let Chip bring Chip in. So Chip is at our in-person meeting, which is at the Hobnob Tavern. And I'm going to let Chip share a little bit about what he does.
Still got me muted. There we go. All right. So I'm Chip Cagle with Longhorn Investments. So Longhorn is a company out of Texas. Surprise, surprise. But I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. And when you were naming the things that might have kept people away today, the other one might be the cold. It's cold here in Atlanta. Not usually cold this time of year, but so there's just a couple of people here with me at Hobnob Tavern near Perimeter Mall. So we're going to continue to meet here live. People can come here and network in person. It'll be from 11:30 to 1:30 when we have these meetings. The speaker starts at noon like this one did today. All right. So Longhorn Investments, we can do 100% of your costs, your purchase and rehab, as long as that's less than 70% of your appraised ARV. We can even go up to 75% of the ARV if you get pre-approved for a rental refinance. Now, we don't do the rental refinances, so you'll have to get that from somewhere else, and I can help you with that. But I've got an example here of a loan that's pretty typical. And I have the purchase price. Let's see if we can get it closer. I have the purchase price at $200,000, $50,000 rehab budget. 350,000 ARV, and you can see that at 70%, it's not quite 100%, but if I got that pre-approval for the rental loan, it would be. And then their total cost would be about $13,000 because you do still have to bring points, fees, closing costs. You would have already paid for the appraisal, the insurance. You can either pay at closing or directly to the insurance company. And then the closing costs are on here. The insurance and closing costs are hard for me to estimate because I don't know who you're using. And then lastly, you would have prepaid interest for the remainder of the current month. The good news is there wouldn't be a payment on the first of the next month. There'd be a payment the month after that. I'd love to talk to you about it. You can see down there at the bottom my phone number, 404-216-5599, and my email address, ckagel@longhorninvestments.com. So give me a call and we will do a deal together. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Chip. Appreciate that. So I'd love to post that on our Facebook page and LinkedIn page. So you can, if you can, send me that and I'll add it to the post up there so that folks can see it. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. So our speaker for today, let me bring Randall in. Our speaker for today is Randall Henderson. So Randall, Chris, do you want to do a little intro about Randall? You've known him a long time.
Well, I've known Randall from my early days in PMI, and then I supported him in his change over to Rentvine. He's just a great guy. Love him and his wife. We've done some great adventures together. We spent this year in Moab together, tearing up the desert, and then going to what we call the Summit event in Utah at what is that? Ski resort,
Snowbird.
Yeah, that's where I met my wife. I mean, for a ski trip, and went skiing for the first time. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm still with her today. So that was many years ago, but we were at Snowbird and loved that area. We did the Oktoberfest there. It's always a pleasure to meet Randall. We always have a good time when we get together. So
one of
Randall,
the things, yeah.
You played
Sorry,
a little
Matt,
bit.
go ahead.
You played a little bit of college ball too, right?
We don't talk about that. That was 25 years ago. that's in the way past. But yeah, I played a little bit of college basketball. So I'm very vested in the game tonight. I'm excited for all college sports. And yeah, I'm going to be supporting Notre Dame like Chris tonight. But I will say this, meeting Chris many years ago, I think it's been 8 years now. We instantly connected because we both have a background in real estate and investing. And so we came at it from different ways. We came at property management. I feel like, Chris, you and Donna really went heavily into, like, you just started buying properties of your own. You developed the property management entity and business out of just being great investors and kind of learning that world. What I did is I started buying a few rentals. I got into development. I was talking with Chip backstage about hard money lending. I've done deals in that space, and I've kind of done a lot of different things in real estate, and that led me eventually to property management. Which, if you're listening to this broadcast, a good property manager can be the key to your success in real estate investing. They can be the keystone because they have access to the tenants, they have access to the maintenance. And people like Chris and Donna understand the financials behind investing. And so over the years, I looked at how can I do better in helping property managers. I went to work for a franchising business for about 10 years. And now I'm with Rentvine, where we're trying to truly bring innovation into that property management space and technology. And Matt, I've got slides ready. If you want me to dive in there, I can talk about those.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll pull them up.
Awesome. I want to just give a little bit of a background around kind of the industry itself. So when you look at the data from HUD, a lot of people have kind of a misconception about how big is the market. So it's very difficult when you talk about rental units. People know, 30% of the United States is rental units. But that also includes a lot of multifamily. So you have to branch those out and look at truly what is the single family data that's happening today. around 25 million is the best guess, according to HUD, of how many rentals that are available. But that SFR number has changed significantly post 2009. So we know that private money entered our space. We know that groups like Goldman Sachs started to invest in these SFR rentals. But if you look at bullet point number 3, 90% of the market is still held by very small investors. So to give you guys a sense of what that looks like, groups like Goldman Sachs, even today, own less than 5% of that 25 million single family rental number. So truly today, mom and pops like us, we are still driving and owning this single family space. And so what that's done is as big money has come in, it's put pressure on property managers to up their game, but it's also caused a significant pressure on the property management technology, or just the prop tech. And so I want to kind of talk about prop tech as a whole. What is that? What does it mean? And kind of what's the background on that? So the market is interestingly divided into those that self-manage and those that manage with a property manager. And this data may surprise some of you on the broadcast. Only 30% of the single family market is managed by a third party. That means that by and large, the majority of people are doing it themselves. And so it's interesting to kind of talk about, well, are those having a better result than those who are managed professionally, or vice versa? So the PMs, the property managers in the space, are absolutely competing with each other, but they're primarily trying to add value to that self-managed landlord who is looking for something better or bigger. And one of the driving factors of that is the idea that geography is driving where the successful investments are. So, and many of you on this call may know that. And Chris, I know you understand this as well, but finding a cash flow rental in the Midwest is a lot easier than finding one in California or New York. New York is an interesting market because you got that northern Rochester and Buffalo area where you can find major cash flow opportunities. But if you go closer to the city, obviously you're going to struggle there. And property managers could be the key to kind of helping to solve those geography problems where people are wanting to invest out of state. Chris, do you have any comments about that? I'm curious as to your take, someone who has invested in a lot of areas and someone who's managed in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I would say it's true. I find myself in Atlanta shopping mostly for our clients outside the city of Atlanta because they want that Atlanta. They think they want those Atlanta zip codes, but the actual better performing properties are around the perimeter of Atlanta. And we have the highest average commute. So our tenants commute to work, but we also have a lot of areas like Georgia is ranked 4th in the nation for Fortune 500 companies. So we have a lot of them that are based in downtown Atlanta and around the perimeter, but we have all the manufacturing and the distribution jobs in the supporting cities in Georgia. So we do work a lot of markets in Georgia. We go all the way from up in Cartersville, all the way over to Beaufort, over to Covington, down to Macon. We just have a stable of properties everywhere. So yes, I'm always in tune with which properties are going to give my investors the best cap rate or the best cash flow if they're financing. So yes, it's interesting to shop where,
And we're seeing that same trend with property managers all over the country. So it's just important to recognize that, hey, I may not be in a market where I can get a cash flow property today, but there is a property manager somewhere in the country, or maybe in the next county over, or maybe somewhere else in Georgia that can help me find that cash flow property. And that's kind of crucial to understand why I keep going back to the role of the property manager in single family. Let me zoom out a little bit around kind of how the market stands for the rental specific demographic. And gosh, I wish I would have put a slide in here, but I'll just talk you guys through it real quick. The rental demographic today is very different than it was 20 years ago. So today's renter, generally speaking, has more money, and their number one factor is not, I'm going to buy a house to live in as soon as I can. Today's renter is starting to think that freedom is more important than the dream of a white picket fence. So the great American dream is sort of changing, And we're seeing a delay in the average age that a person buys their first home to live in. Or even more strangely, they're buying a rental investment first versus maybe owner occupying. So it's just this interesting trend, and the numbers back that up. So when you look at owner occupied homes, that number has dropped from like 75% in 2005 down to around 60% today. So that's a significant drop in the number of owner occupied homes and the rise of this single family rental investment as a class. So Chris, you have any thoughts on that number?
Well, Randall, I would say I do see a lot of first-time investors buying or trying to buy their first investment property before they actually own their first home. And I would say that I have seen the primarily investors investing in the lower income housing, moving up to the medium price point homes in our market. So, I mean, and our average rents have gone what used to be $800 or $1,000. We've moved our average income, our average monthly rental up to about $1,900 or $2,000 a month. So, and not, so it is changing. The new generation, they don't want that ball and chain of a mortgage or owning real estate, but they don't mind investing in it. So they want the freedom to move around, and they look. A lot of them are looking for the work, play, and entertainment areas. That play, but
100%.
but they really are moving away from ownership unless it's an investment.
And that's an opportunity for investors, obviously. But I will say this, with the changing demographic, you also see a renter who wants more out of their property. They want more from their manager or from the owner themselves. And so that's where, like, when you talk about the pressure on property managers to elevate their game and provide better resources, what we're seeing is that, it used to be this great divide between like multifamily properties. They're the ones that offer the amenities, and they had trash service and garbage or all kinds of different utility options. And that all of those options and amenities have slowly made their way into single family. And so that's one of the big differences between like a professional, truly a great property manager, is that they're adding value by adding all these amenities and these options for tenants today who want something better. Again, that's just a reflection of the demographic changing. So let me zoom out a little bit and just talk about how big is prop tech. So as you guys can imagine, outside money comes in, it puts pressure on the industry itself, and it also brings smart money. So property technology money. And you can see like today that number's $47 billion is the size of the market. This number is expected to go up to 133 billion over the next 7 years. So it's a number that is moving quickly and is absolutely changing the space. So what do I mean by that? So in property technology, you got to look, and this, I like this chart to kind of show what it is and what it isn't. So prop tech is obviously this big section in the middle, but it really blends over with fintech. And those two, where those meet, is kind of where the real estate fintech companies are sprouting up, right? We're seeing a lot of that happening. We're also seeing a new thing called smart real estate. So using the technology of like Internet of Things, you're seeing rental units that have monitoring systems on not just security anymore, but also utility use, on, lights, on water use. There's just a lot of tech that's kind of moving in part of that prop tech space. There's also a lot of construction technology that's changing. And so all of this kind of makes up that prop tech world. But where these things meet, the property manager kind of lives in the middle, trying to like make sense of all the prop tech and then give it out to the investors. So investors want more. They want better things. They want to know, like, what should I be using? What should I be aware of? But check this slide out. It can be overwhelming to look at all of the areas that prop tech is just booming. I mean, there are so many brands on here. It's really just kind of overwhelming. So we need to narrow this down a little bit into just single family. So let's make it simple, right? and Chris, feel free to weigh in, especially on this side, because you've got like that cycle, as you know, like you've really got to figure out like how to cycle through, continue to feed your investment like game that's happening, but also the management side, and then the selling side, and then the listing for rent side. Like Chris, specifically, you guys, how do you manage kind of all of these areas? How do you find the balance of where to spend your time, or what would you recommend an average investor do?
Well, you're talking about from start, because we actually in the office have what we call the property cycle, where we're bringing on properties, we bring on tenants, we turn the property when the tenants move out, we rehab the properties. It's kind of like a cycle of acquisitions, management, and renovations over the years, and to keep that property on the leading edge. But some of the things that make properties more attractive nowadays is the smart house theories. So there's upgrades and things that you need to do to be aware of that. But so that's probably what we see the most. So we do make recommendations, to keep your house maintained, to keep it updated, and to build that equity too. Because if you take care of a house, you just don't wear it out, and you keep it updated, you're also building equity in that home over time as well.
But Randall, just to share one tool that we use for our advertising and our showing system, we use Tenant Turner. There's a digital lockbox that allows us to qualify people to go see the property on their time. So there's a self-scheduling system there. We can track all the reports from all the properties each week. We send those reports to owners, to show them the weekly traffic that we're getting for properties that are listing and being advertised. But it syndicates the listings out, and it also aggregates the online leads, so we can see if people have liked a property, if they give their number, if they give their email. We can automate messages to them to invite them to schedule a showing or apply for the property. We use a lot of different tools, but that's one example that we use.
Yeah, and I would say that the syndication actually drives our website up to, like, when you're looking for properties, we're probably on the first page if we're not in a leading position when you're looking for a home in a certain area. So that works well for us as well. But also, we have owner portals and tenant portals. Communication is just, in today's technology that we're using for our owners, is just constant communication. Because the number one complaint in real estate, it's been this way for as long as I've been in the business, is communications. Mm-hmm. And our communication flows in and out of this office almost seamlessly.
Yeah.
So we do the best job that we possibly can on communications. We always have the latest and greatest tools. And I tell you, the self-showing system has been fabulous, because it decreased our days on market dramatically. And then we also we stay on top of the market when we're renting properties. We're going to give you the best advice to get your house rented as quickly as possible, because we're tracking that information on a host of websites. So we just have, it's just, the overall picture for us is to get our tenants, our houses rented up as quickly as possible with the best tenant as possible, and increase their stay by providing them a good quality property, by updating, making it smart. So there's lots of little nuances to this, and it's constantly changing, I would have to say.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And you both brought up a great point. You just illustrated one piece of tech, right? Self-showing technology that syndicates a property out there that's for rent, allows a tenant to schedule themselves to walk through the property. I mean, if you're an investor out there and you're like thinking about like, what does a property manager do that I can't do, or where's that gap happen? That's just one example of where that gap can be. So either you have to get the better technology that's going to save you time and work through that, or you need to find a property manager who, like Chris and Matt, like obsess about like how to use the best tech in the space to get the property rented faster at a higher rate with a longer term tenant, like all those things that you guys are doing. So the other thing I would say on this slide too is that, like, as an investor, you're focused on a lot of these different areas, right? And there's technology built into each little sub bullet point. So, we just talked about, like, over on the right side, home automation solutions. We were talking about some of the smart home stuff. And then the single family property management tools. Within that space, there's probably 10 or 15 different types of technology that can be used that your professional property manager is going to bring. But if you go into any other of the bullet points on here, you're going to find another tech stack within that bullet point, and how to maximize all of that. It can be super overwhelming. I think the keys to remembering that, the core principles of success in real estate are always the same, right? Find the best tenant, keep them in there a long time, keep them happy, keep them paying rent, minimize turnover. So don't have these long, these massive damage causing relationships where you're in this adversarial and the property gets trashed. Turn it over fast by using technology. Find better loans by using technology. Find, the best agents and crowdsourcing platforms or funding platforms to be able to find those properties. There's just a lot out there to kind of understand what there is. And there is some bleed over between managing property and selling and buying property. And absolutely keep in mind too, at least in Georgia and many, many other states, the property manager is licensed by the state as a real estate agent and broker. Many people don't realize that, but your property manager is absolutely prepared to help you sell your property, buy new property, do all of those things. Chris and Matt, do you guys do a lot of that at PMI Georgia?
We absolutely do. We have I work along with my acquisition team, and we help our investors buy it. But we also, when they're ready to sell, we'll help them sell it. And the advantage to us is that we know how much it's going to cost to turn, exactly how you'll renovate this property to sell versus rent, and put those numbers together for you and let you know what you're going to be able to sell on that and net that thing out for. Or sometimes maybe it's just better to sell that thing as is to another investor. We really work within the wheelhouse of what our clients want when it's ready to sell. I've had investors that have had their properties. I have investors that have had their properties for over 20 years now, and they're ready to exit the market because they're getting up there in age, and they're ready to sell. And they're like, "Oh, Chris, I hope you're not disappointed in me." And I'm like, "No, everyone needs an exit strategy, and I'm more than happy to help you with that. We have a great team for that." So we look and work the market for the best return based on the properties, the needs that the property may need to get it ready to sell, or the needs of the owner in their personal life. So sometimes it's like we may sell it to one of our existing clients, or put it on or sell it to another investor, or we may move the tenant out. We may sell it to the tenant. We've had several occasions where we've actually closed on the tenant, and that's a win-win for the investor and a win-win for the tenant, because usually that's going to be our greatest net of return for our clients when they're selling. And then if we have to, we'll move it to what we call the retail market, where you're probably going to get a homeowner. And there's a lot of markets that you're doing that. But when you're selling, our lower income properties, you're probably going to want to sell to a tenant, or you're going to move that property to an investor. But when the medium price homes that we're managing today, a lot of times when we clean those houses up and sell them, we're selling them to the end user, the homeowners, but we really do focus on the numbers and netting the most for our clients. Mm-hmm. So would you like to add anything to that?
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you said it all. Every investment has a beginning and an end, and that depends on the investor's goals and timeline. And we're happy to help with them, whether it's an out-of-state client or an in-state client who's looking to get started.
But we also we do help investors flip. We probably do 10, 15 flips a year. But we really like buy and hold. I'm a buy and hold guy. I say, real estate investing's a marathon, not a sprint. You're in it for the long game. You're going to make lots of appreciation and do well. And this is a market where things are balanced between appreciation and cash flow.
Right.
And guys, when I talked earlier about kind of like, look, this nature of property management and like the relationship between that and real estate investing have grown a little bit tighter over the years. Some of your comments just illustrate that perfectly. So if you're on the call and you're like, you may think of a property manager as like a oh, well, that guy's just, plunging toilets and like, handling messes that come up. But did you hear some of the language that Chris and Matt were using? They're talking about investor goals, like exit strategies, maximizing returns. That's the modern property manager and how they've changed over the last 10 or 15 years to become like truly what an investor needs. So again, keep that in mind, that your property manager, the person who has worked with that tenant in the property for years and years and years, knows everything about that property. They're going to be your best person to help understand and accomplish the strategy that you might have. So I don't know. Technology absolutely helps. And Chris, I love that you brought up kind of the communication side too, because like the goal of tech is to be able to, again, accomplish the goals of the investor. To keep the communication lines open is such a crucial part of that. But there's a lot of other things that go into that. So, oops, sorry, went crazy on my slides there. Historically, prop tech has been kind of the afterthought. The technology hasn't really been that competitive or modern. That has significantly changed in the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years. So what modern property management companies are doing is that they're trying to build these tech stacks, and they're partnering with a lot of different companies. But most property management companies start with like a core software like mine, Rentvine, and then they add different partners and integrations to build their stack. So, and I'll talk on the next slide about kind of Rentvine's mission and what we're trying to do to change the space as a whole. But you guys might have heard of Rent Manager or Propertyware, Appfolio, Buildium. These are like the primary core softwares. And then there's always popping up all these new and innovative partners like self-showing or all kinds of like identity screening to prevent fraud and theft. There's just a lot going on that space. So our mission at Rentvine is to try to be the technology partner that property managers deserve, because they've always kind of been, it feels like, an afterthought. And so Rentvine's really come out and said, look, we're going to listen to property managers. We're going to strengthen how well they are servicing their investor client. And we're going to do that with the best communication tools, the best maintenance tools, just trying to package all of that together. So sorry for a lot of the bullet points and text on this slide, but I just want to highlight maybe one or two of those. Rentvine is trying this philosophy of saying, look, we want every type of technology to be able to integrate natively with us. So we have a truly open API technology to allow companies that do anything that you could see on that bullet point list to integrate directly with Rentvine. We want to be that core software where the tenants and owners and property managers are all kind of communicating together. So our focus is absolutely to strengthen that relationship that property managers have with both their owners and their residents. We understand that it takes great residents to create great rentals that stay for a long time. But if they're not working out, you need to get them out quick. You need to flip it quick. You need to get the next one in. So it's the platform where statements are happening, money's happening, lease tracking is happening, dashboards that are tracking maintenance, that are doing work orders. It has a full document signature platform built in so that you never have to leave and go out and use DocuSign to send documents. You're allowed to do everything, right? Market the property, screen a tenant, manage the whole thing. I think the big thing with us is that we're trying to just kind of build a property technology company that meets the needs of what investors are demanding today. So I don't know, Chris, you've used Rentvine. What's your feeling on kind of our mission statement?
I love it. I love that open API, and I always get that backwards because I'm a little bit dyslexic when I say that. But we use Z Inspector, and that's probably one of the best communications we can do with our owners when a tenant moves out, or when we're doing the annual inspections, or when we're doing the renewal inspections with our tenants. So, it's just increased the communication. So now we can send a report over to our owners where they can see 360 photos of their properties, and they can see if, hey, do you really want to renew this tenant? Are they taking care of the property? or is there any maintenance needs, even if the tenants are taking care of the property? But and then it also helps us with the communications of what needs to be done. What you need to upgrade on the houses and stuff like that. That's just one aspect of it. But we had, I would say, our modules with Rentvine have allowed us to. Our ability with Rentvine has allowed us to get rid of some of our vendors, but our inspection that we use Z Inspector for, it's just a great communication tool, and we've opened that up. But you're right. You guys, by far have been the best for one of the best changes that we've made in the last 5 years is moving to Rentvine.
Yeah. So some of the basic things we skip over every day. Some of the things Chris just talked about. Communication management, that's all through Rentvine. So we try to over communicate with our owners, and our owners are just like everybody else. They don't check their emails, or they don't read them, and sometimes an owner, can be kind of out of the loop because they haven't been, checking in or focusing on those emails, and they'll call back in like, what's going on with this? What's with that? And we'll say, hey, on this date, we sent this email, we sent this communication, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I hadn't been reading my emails, right? But Rentvine allows us to track all of our communication with our owners, but also with our tenants, right? So when it comes to collecting rent, another thing that I think a lot of new real estate investors and probably older investors who've been self-managing, they forget about is just how much accounting is involved with managing rentals. And so that's a big part of what we use Rentvine for, is being able to have a tenant ledger, being able to track work orders. So tenants get a portal, owners get a portal, so everybody can see what's going on with the property at any time. So Rentvine is really provides this one-stop shop for really all of our management needs, like Randall was saying.
But I would say one of the greatest tools too in Rentvine and a good robust property management report is your accounting reports. We send our owners reports every month so they can see what's going on. But at the end of the year, we send them their cash flow reports, and they can actually hand that over to their accountant to file their taxes. So all of their expenses that they have paid through the property through us, because we're not just a rent collector. We are actually out there trying to take care of our clients' properties. So we will, any expenses, we make recommendations, and any appliances wear out, their taxes, they want us to pay their taxes. There's a lot of things that we can do for our clients that a lot of property managers don't do, so that it frees up their time. I always say there's an expense to us managing some of your things, but you have to also weigh on, is it worth it to you to let us manage that? And that way, at the end of the year, you just take that report, that cash flow report, you hand it to your CPA, and they do your taxes. And a lot of our well-established clients just say, yeah, we send them out the notice something needs to be done. Yeah, you take care of that.
Right.
You pay that. You pay the taxes, you pay the insurance, you fix the repairs, you pay the vendors. And I just want that owner draw. I used to say, I just want that check, but nowadays most of them don't even receive a check in the mail. It just goes straight into their checking account.
Right.
And they do get a little lackadaisical sometimes. They won't look at their bank account. They just think it's there.
Yeah.
Well, today's investor, they want to know. It feels like more. You do still run across those who are like, I just want to see my money coming in every month. But then there's a lot that want to actually log in and say, what maintenance did you guys do? Where's this at? Have you guys taken care of this? So that's another piece I would say, like self-managed landlord versus like professionally managed, is the maintenance side is such a big difference, because like a good property manager like you guys, Chris, you guys have all the connections in the communities. You've got your vendors already set up. Like you are ready to go. You don't have to call and get quotes from 6 different people every time a pipe breaks. And so all of that's just followed in the software, and it makes it so easy for that owner to see, all right, oh, looks like Chris is on it. They've already sent a vendor out. It's been taken care of. I can like see a log. And we're using a lot of AI we're incorporating a lot of AI tools to try to make that even easier for Chris to be able to provide you guys what you need on your rentals.
The wonderful thing is now when the owners go to the maintenance portal and they see they're seeing the work that's been done. They also see photos. That's amazing. But that is probably one of the things that eases their stress. They can actually look at it and see, oh yeah, it was needed, or yes, it has been done. It's not just a piece of paper. It's not just a this is how much it costs. So yeah, we get pictures. If we don't, we'll send our guys out to get pictures after it's done.
Yeah, real estate is one of those unique spaces where it's really easy for somebody to think they're getting screwed over. It happens in transactions, and it happens all the time. With owners who aren't as in tune. But when we can pull up the photos of the repair, before it was done, after it was done, it's a lot easier explaining where their money went and what it went towards and protecting their assets. So that's another feature that Rentvine helps provide.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. The other piece is like from the tenant's perspective, like it's seamless when they put a work order in and Chris goes in and assigns a vendor. Rentvine automatically connects the vendor directly with the tenant and allows them to schedule available times. And it just makes it so much more of a pleasant experience. You don't have tenants who are like, I never hear from my manager or my landlord. I've got the worst slumlord. You just don't hear that as much in today's with the modern property managers who's using the best technology like PMI Georgia.
Yeah, you certainly don't hear it from our tenants. Matter of fact, sometimes we're trying to schedule with them and they're having a hard time accommodating us to get to the property. But the wonderful thing about it is then you can put it back on them because you have all the documentation. There is a chat flow, there is photos, there is, so everything's trackable, and the owners are in that conversation as well. So communication has always been an issue in real estate transactions, and good communication definitely eases and settles down the investors. Right. And so you guys have made my life a lot easier. So I'm looking forward to more changes too. So
thanks, Chris. And I love that you brought up kind of just that old school like mentality of like good communication is what makes for good investments, and helping the tenants stay a long time, be happy in the place, helping the owners maximize their revenue, have a long producing, in it for the long game. I love that. It's still just an incredible asset class. It's the reason I love real estate long term.
And we've got some changes coming this year. I think it's going to make it a little bit friendlier for real estate investors too. There's some big changes.
That. Well, I'm going to tune in next month to hear Monica Gilroy. She's a fantastic attorney in Georgia. Knows tenants' rights, landlord rights, and she's an incredible knowledge base. So I'm excited for next month.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Randall, we really appreciate having you on. How say there's an investor out there or a property manager out there who wants to find out more about Rentvine, how can they get in touch with you?
Just go on to rentvine.com, schedule a demo. Yeah, we're happy to help.
All right. Awesome. Well, here at PMI Georgia, we manage over 500 doors throughout Metro Atlanta. We help a lot of mom and pop investors protect their asset, be successful as running a rental. And we would love to talk with you. So we do offer free rental analysis. So if you have an upcoming vacancy and you're thinking, man, I really don't want to go through all the work of having to do it myself, you'd like to hire someone, we would love to talk with you and see how we can coach you through that process. And Chip, I'm going to open it back up to you.
Hey,
Chip, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Phone number 404-216-5599, or email is ckagel@longhorninvestments.com.
Awesome. And if you're watching from Facebook, the Atlanta Landlord Luncheon, or the LinkedIn at the Atlanta Landlord Luncheon, we'd love to connect with you there. So feel free to drop us a note, give us a follow. You can always reach us at PMI Georgia. This is our website. My name is Matt Martin. This is Chris Littleton. And we are signing off for now. We'll see you next month with Monica Gilroy sharing legislative updates for landlords.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Cheers.